Zhiyun have just released a brand new budget-friendly gimbal that doesn't sacrifice on performance, the Cinepeer Weebill 3E. In this video, I'll give you a bit of an overview of this new gimbal and its features, as well as comparing it to its bigger brother, the Weebill 3S. So here's the Cinepeer Weebill 3E, and it comes in this pretty cool grey finishing. It's a pretty lightweight and portable gimbal, weighing in at just over 1 kilogram, and it can pack down as small as a piece of A4 paper, making it reasonably travel friendly too. Despite its modest size, it boasts a 3 kilogram or 6.6 pound maximum payload, which is perfect for most full frame cameras and say a 24-70 lens setup, meaning this gimbal comes in lighter and cheaper than the DJI RS3 and handles the same payload, and the specs put it pretty roughly on par with the new RS4. It's been designed with modern content creators in mind, as well as it allows for quick switching between horizontal and vertical shooting, all natively, and it's really easy to switch between the two with no extra accessories needed. Other features are locking axes, a 0.96 inch OLED screen, a comfortable grip, and easy to reach controls to quickly toggle between shooting modes. All of this make this a really easy to use, intuitive gimbal. I don't like a ton of frills when it comes to gimbals, and this one just gets the job done. It also has a pretty impressive battery operating time of around 16 hours. It comes in a pretty useful carry case, and in the package itself you get the gimbal, of course, the tripod stand, and a quick release plate, as well as a USB-C cable for camera control. So let's take a look at what this Cinepeer Weebill 3E can do, and let's take a look at some sample footage, and a lot of this is filmed using my Lumix S5 along with the Sigma 28-72.8 lens. And I use this because this is definitely one of my favorite lightweight gimbal setups right now. And in terms of stabilization, I was very impressed. The Weebill 3E provides really smooth footage with this kind of a setup. Here I was walking on some pretty uneven ground in this field as well, and the Weebill 3E pretty effortlessly smoothed out my steps. And as a long-time DJI RS3 Pro owner, the motor performance doesn't feel in any way sacrificed here despite the smaller size and weight. All of the footage you are seeing now is with no extra stabilization in post, and the reasonably light weight and small size of this gimbal allowed me to get high shots just with one hand and still get pretty smooth results. And in general, even when out in the field and swapping between setups, I found it really quick and easy to get a setup balanced on this gimbal, and the locking axis definitely helped with that. It was also really comfortable to use. The grip feels great in the hands, and although I wasn't using it with the heaviest of setups at this point, it really was a joy to use. It's just such a simple gimbal to operate. I also decided, since I have both, to put the Cinepeer Weebill 3E up against its bigger, more expensive brother, the Weebill 3S, to see if when cutting costs on this gimbal, they have in any way sacrificed on stabilization and motor strength. And using both in a few scenarios, it was pretty clear that the performance between the two is identical and nothing's been sacrificed when taking out some of these little features and bringing down the costs on the Cinepeer Weebill 3E. Using the same setup on both, I saw equal stability between the two, so general stabilization is not something you need to worry about if you happen to be choosing between these two gimbals. But if we compare the gimbals themselves, well, there are a few key differences between this new gimbal and the bigger brother Weebill 3S. And these can kind of be summarized by saying that the Cinepeer gimbal basically offers all the same performance as a gimbal as the Weebill 3S, with a stripped down feature set and lower cost. Both gimbals have the exact same max payload of 3 kilograms, for example. Both support quick native switching between horizontal and vertical shooting. They seem to have the exact same screen and general design and build quality. Key differences are the Weebill 3S has a built-in fill light that is absent on this new gimbal. The Cinepeer is also missing the built-in microphone of the Weebill 3S, along with the USB-C slot that allows for, say, a follow focus or video transmission. so limits its use a little bit for some professional video shooters, which leads me to believe that this gimbal is targeted at content creators or solo filmmakers, people that aren't working in big crews. The Cinepeer does benefit from longer battery life, however, offering 16 hours of operation time compared to the Weebill 3S's 11.5 hours. And as I said before, this Cinepeer gimbal comes with this hard carry case, which is, in my opinion, a lot better than this really large bulky carry bag that comes with the Weebill 3S. So overall, for someone like me who just wants a bare bones gimbal that performs well and doesn't need a lot of these fancy kind of niche extra features, this is a great option when you consider the cost. And that price difference is pretty big because the normal price you can tend to get this new gimbal for is $249. Against the Weebill 3S's that you can usually pick up for around $319. But that can vary because Zhiyun often offer different kinds of sales, and right now I believe at the launch of this gimbal you can get 10% off on the Zhiyun store and on Amazon. I'll leave some links below, and I think at that point it's going to bring the cost of this gimbal at just under $200. And at that price, I don't know what else on the market offers this kind of stabilization and feature set at this kind of great of a price. This really is an amazing first gimbal for anybody, and it's crazy how far we've come in the gimbal world in just a few years, where this is the kind of performance that you can get now for just $200. Comparing the Cinepeer to other gimbals on the market like the DJI RS3 Mini, this is of course the bigger and heavier gimbal, but it supports the heavier payload and it has significantly better battery life whilst still being cheaper. The DJI RS4 is pretty much DJI direct competitor to this gimbal, and it offers very similar specs and matches the kind of size and weight of this gimbal, but it does cost significantly more. But there are a couple of negatives with the Weebill 3E, or at least areas that I think Zhiyun could have improved on. The first negative for me is that you can't remove the battery handle, and I would have loved to have seen that on this gimbal because this would make for a great travel gimbal. And being able to remove the battery handle means you can put this in your carry-on luggage or your backpack, and you can pack the bulk of the gimbal away in, say, a suitcase. So it makes it a little bit more travel friendly. But also as well, yes, this has great battery life, but for pros that are maybe shooting on really long days, it's great to be able to have backup fully charged battery handles that you can put in there at a moment's notice when you need them if you are running out of battery. The gimbal also doesn't have a touch screen display, and I know on the DJI side, like my RS3 does have a touch screen display, so that's something you generally get from DJI now, but still not from Zhiyun. But I can't say that's bothered me in actual use. I kind of like the tactile dials because sometimes you can just accidentally swipe on the touchscreen. So I don't really dislike the fact that this isn't touchscreen. And the absence of the ability to add that video transmission system or the remote follow focus will probably restrict its professional use for some people. But as I say, I just don't think that this gimbal is aimed at that kind of target audience. I think this is for one-man bands or solo filmmakers like me, and probably the Weebill 3S is the one that's aimed at people that are maybe working in larger crews that are going to miss those features. And to be fair, the price jump to the Weebill 3S isn't really that significant, that if you are a pro, then you probably won't mind paying that little bit extra for those features. So overall, final thoughts, I think when you consider who this gimbal is probably targeted at, people like me, content creators, it's for things like social media or just solo filmmakers, people that just want a bare bones, easy to use gimbal that just works. I think this is a really great product. It's going to support most people's general video setups, which is usually a full frame camera along with a 24-70 zoom lens, for example. It gives you great performance and great battery life too. I also really appreciate how easy it is to use. It doesn't overcomplicate things when it comes to balancing or getting set up. I know a lot of the DJI products require you to link it to an app before you can even get started, but there's none of that here. You don't need to use the app, but Zhiyun do offer an app, so if you want to tinker with the settings more, you may find that a little bit more user-friendly to use over the built-in onboard screen. I do plan to spend a little bit more time with this gimbal and give it more of a long-term review in the future. This is just an overview for now, and Zhiyun sent me this gimbal, and I would really like to test it up against some of the DJI offerings, mainly probably like the DJI RS3 Mini and the RS4. A big thanks as well to Zhiyun for sending this gimbal out for me to test. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Is the Weebill 3E the gimbal for you? or maybe you're firmly on the DJI side of things. Let me know down below. But anyway, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.